Hello everybody, I'm Tony Pellegrino and this is another episode of our Tech Talk. And today we're here with Jim Reel of JE Reel out here in Pomona, California. And this gentleman has built drivelines for myself and GenRight for years and years and years. And today I'm here to show you why they're better. And Jim, you know, your dad started this a long time ago. You've had it for how many years now?
Well, I bought it in '86, but I was here when I was 15. So I've done this 46 years.
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
I mean, you know, part-time then, but that's when I started learning.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, it doesn't take long to look around in here and see all the race cars and competitive vehicles that you've built drivelines for. Everybody that I know runs your drivelines.
Yeah.
It is the good stuff. And today I want to talk a little bit about what makes it better. There's, you know, Alex is showing some trophy truck drivelines.
Yeah, those are trophy truck
that you make, and you know, you've had that market for quite some time. One of the things that you really do well is when somebody has a problem, you work to solve it. You don't just keep throwing something else at it and hoping it works. You really come up with a solution.
Right. I will make a stronger part, a better part.
Pretty
we'll
cool.
get a bigger part, we'll machine it to fit.
Yeah. Alex is showing one of your show displays that you bring out so people can roll it around and see. But
it shows the insides because people are so baffled by what's in there.
What's in there? Yeah.
So we cut one up and you can see it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
And talk about some of these parts that are here on the bench today.
Well, this is just a gimbal for, well, let's get rid of that. That's a 1310, that's a 1480, and I don't have a well joke, but that's the size of a 1350. So you can see it is somewhat bigger and much bigger cap.
Yeah, over in the other room we'll look at the actual U-joints,
But
and what are we looking at here?
Well, this is a part we had made, and it had a flange with U-joint ears that bolt on here. And when the trophy truck guys were breaking the standard stuff, I mean, like Justin Lofton broke 3 at one race at the Mint 400 one year. So we came up with this, and I called him a couple years ago and I said, Justin, it's been on 3 years. They do have a shelf life. Sooner or later you will break them. And he said, I'm still good. And I said, well, don't wait till it breaks. But this is very, very expensive. It did solve their problem. But we were able to find this, and it's out of Europe.
Oh.
And the guys are running it now. It saves them about $700–800 a driveline, and we've had no failures.
And does this have a slip in it, or what is this?
Yes, they're hard to get apart.
Oh, they are.
Oh
man, that is.
We need
hard.
Scott the Gorilla in here. But this is a reverse slip. The male spline is attached to the yoke, and it goes into the female, opposite of this. And it's glide coated like this inside and out, and this is a sleeve barrel. So instead of wiping here and mud getting past it, this whole thing is
would
lubed.
this be up at the transmission, or would this be down?
You could put it at either.
End?
I would do transmission though, for the fact that if you dent this up,
it's going to start.
It's going to start.
Yeah. So keep it out of harm's
and then
way.
What we've got is, you know, if we like some of the Ultra 4s, they need a small tube. We've got these solid butt yokes instead of the hollow, where we can machine them down to a little tiny tube to clear the transmission. And so we're constantly looking at how do we find better parts for you guys? How do we solve problems?
You know, here's one off of new Gladiator, right?
Yeah, that's off a new Gladiator. Single piece driveline instead of a 2-piece. And you know, if you're just going to use it around town and maybe overlanding, no obstacles, you might be okay.
Yeah.
But it's just too long and too much angle where you get into the rocks too much.
Yeah. And it turns into a coke can.
We've done a 2-piece and an offset bracket to make all the geometry right, which that's out in the other room.
Yeah, we'll look at the other shop.
There.
Yeah. So you guys have solutions for this.
Yeah.
If your driveline has already got some barber pole action going on it, or bent, they should call you.
Right, and if they
fixed.
need something heavier, then we got our Canyon Crawler series, which is, we machine everything and put heavier tubes and a bigger spline. So
yeah, and that's what people should be running.
Yeah, and basically all of that stuff is what we built heavier for Ultra 4, And so the guys that are really hard on the trail that go, hey, I want something heavier, we're giving you what we sell our Ultra 4 guys.
Yeah.
That you know are tearing their stuff up and brutal.
I've done plenty of this and never lost a shaft. So.
Right. So
yeah,
all that race development goes into
what you're
better
offering.
product for the Jeep
For
world.
everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today I want to demystify how you build a driveline. How it's made. So let's walk over to the other shop.
We'll go out there and talk to the guys.
Let's check it out. So now that we're over in the other shop, tell us a little bit more about these parts. We were talking about the different U-joint sizes.
Well, this is your 1310, and you know it's made to run a 65 Mustang, a 70 Camaro, you know, just a car. And the 1350 was made to run your 3/4 ton trucks, you know, back in the 70s. And what I try to explain to people is they are always saying, well, you don't need a 1310 or a 1350, a 1310's fine when we're selling them. And it's not an upsale. What they need to understand, that's okay if you're just a mall Jeep. Our Jeeps aren't CJ 5s and 7s no more that are 3,000 pounds. They're my new one, 6,100 off the lot, and it didn't get its tires, its bumper, its winch, or anything else yet.
Right.
So it's going to be 75, 8,000 when it's done.
Yeah.
And what does a 3500 series Duramax weigh? They even use bigger joints now, but this is what that was designed for. You're running a 3/4 ton truck in a Jeep now, not a little car anymore. The 1410 is the same cap size, but a longer body. The 1480 is the same body length, but much bigger caps. And this is what all the trophy trucks have gone to, all the Ultra 4s. They're either 1350, some are 1410, but there's really not a difference there.
Right.
Just spending more money, no more strength. This is where the strength's at. You know, it's
well, and like we talked about, you know, to go from this to this, when you're buying a whole driveline, you said it's like maybe $150 or $200 more.
Right.
But if you trash this, now you're buying a whole new driveline. You're spending the more money.
Now you're 400 bucks above what you would have been, and still had a driveline that still worked.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's
spend the extra money.
It truly is. Yes, I guess it's an upsell because it costs more, but you're getting
what you pay for.
Way more value. That will go 3 to 4 times this.
Yeah.
So the wear factor and the value is there. You're not spending money that's not working for you.
So let's talk about the yokes,
okay.
Right? Because you were pointing out the difference between a standard yoke and a CV yoke, right? They're very slight.
Yeah, here's a standard yoke that is used for one single U-joint. This yoke is used for the double cardan joint. And the difference being, if you look across here, these bolt holes are 2 3/4. These are 2 1/4. There's a 1/2 inch difference. So people will have this on an older Jeep with a single. They've raised it. They now need the double cardan. They don't tell us they need a yoke. Then it doesn't fit and they're frustrated. We are working on changing our website in the next couple weeks to include all this and try to have much more detail and make it much more friendly for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the 1350. This is the double cardan CV and this is the regular. You can see you're 1/2 a bolt hole off. So it does you have to be aware of that and buy a yoke or buy the whole kit when you do this.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was the cast versus forged.
Okay.
Right? Because that's an important piece.
The cast yokes work very well. They're on all your OE cars and stuff. And they're good for most trail guys. Occasionally we'll have a hard trail guy break a cast yoke, but the forged will solve that problem.
Yeah.
And you know, we developed all the forged yokes we have in, I don't know, there's 10 or 12 sizes. 1480, 1350 for the Atlas, for the Dana 60, for the 14 bolt, and so on. We have Dana 80, but you know, the forged is for the Ultra 4, the trophy trucks, the hardcore guys that, you know, So for your average guy running 37s to 40s and he's out wheeling, he's okay. For the guy who, you know, I'm going up that no matter what, and you just saw 10 people fall off of it.
You need
he needs this. Yeah. Okay. So.
So the other thing would be this, right?
Yes.
If you don't have that, you got this.
Right. And
Right.
it's a flat flange, and then a flange like this CV here bolts onto it.
Right. So this is the other style CV where this goes onto there.
And the reason we use the flange type is it gets 32 degrees where most of the yoke type only go 26.
So this is the other style where it's got bolts. So these are threaded, right? And when the yoke goes on, which one's it going to be? This one? Yeah. So this will then take a bolt that goes all the way through, and this will fit right on there. Okay. Versus this style.
But most designs here go 32 or 26. This goes 32
degrees.
Yeah.
Of
so
angle.
Longer shocks, more drop.
Yep.
This in a 1410, which this is still the same size, it's just a little bigger here at the joint. We can actually clearance those to go 38.
Wow.
So where we can use flanges, we do, because, you know, you guys that are running 40s and you want the shock to drop out 15 inches, not 8.
Well,
you got to have it.
Yeah.
Or else you put limit straps on and you wasted all that money on them big shocks.
That's right. And if you've watched the Tech Talks before, I've told you it's not the shock, it's everything else. It's the steering, the drive shaft. These are the things that will be limiting your travel, and you don't realize it. So we just talked about that, Jim, where you were saying when you put this on, you need to hang that drive shaft and let your rear end droop out and make sure that your U-joint will go below.
Right. You bolt it up at the transfer case first. The drive line comes down. Okay? If your axle's drooped and hanging here and the drive line does this, you're great. If your drive line does this and stops, you need to pull it up another inch and limit strap it. After your first trip, the straps stretch, you need to pull them up another inch, and then they'll settle in. So if you don't spend your money on the proper drive line, and yes, they cost more as you go, okay, but if you don't, everything else you spent money on
is a waste.
You could have cut in half. It's a waste.
That's right. Yeah,
you can go back
all
to
the money
the
on those
4-inch
fancy
beginner
shocks
stuff.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I'd like to tell people about, they really get confused a lot of times with the strap and the U-bolt. This is a strap. And they'll say, oh, I need straps, when they really needed U-bolts. It gets shipped to them, and they're not happy.
And the yoke is specific to these.
Yes, because a yoke for a U-bolt is drilled, and the nut tightens on the back.
On the back.
This yoke has threads in it, just like here.
That thing, yeah.
Okay, so you can't interchange them, and some people have said, well, I'll just drill them out, or
it's not.
You can, but usually you've weakened it so bad you've ruined the part.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is something that people get confused about, and you know, hopefully some people will be more aware. And save some grief for all of us.
Yeah, I run these, but you were saying just a minute ago that, you know, all the actual torque is put into this.
Into the side,
This thing's not actually doing anything.
Yeah, people say these are weaker, and they are weaker, but they're only weaker when you're abusing them. If that torque is being driven sideways into this yoke that's thick and heavy here, the only time this is weak and breaks, it's just holding the cap from moving as it twists, you know, as it goes around. This, if you go past this limit, like we were talking about, and you bottom out, that drive line's a pry bar now. So it pulls these little bolts out of the threads.
Will it do that before it breaks the strap?
Yeah, it just pulls, well, I've seen the straps break, but I've seen a lot of the bolts just pulled out. Because most of the time, all of these are cast yokes. Okay. These
so
are U-bolted.
Yeah, if it's a forged yoke, right?
So I've seen the heads break off, or I've seen the threads pull out.
Gotcha.
Now this, you know, you can see it's beefier and stronger.
Yeah.
But same thing, if you turn the drive line into a pry bar and you pry hard enough, you can distort those. I've seen it too.
And you and I have talked a lot about these things because you can crank this way too hard, right?
Yes, you can over tighten this. you crush the cap, the needles don't roll.
No.
And the
And
needles
it won't
actually,
last long.
the needles actually roll inside.
Inside there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you do with this is you tighten it till the lock washer collapses. Okay. Quarter turn more.
And that's
all.
it.
You know, now on the street, it'll stay there forever. You guys pounding out there, revving.
Got to check them.
Solid mount, put Loctite on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you distort that cap, that U-joint will go in 50 miles. It's done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it'll turn blue and you're welding.
Yeah. 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 So and actually we've had some come in where the whole post is just melted off to a nub here.
We saw one of those recently.
Yeah, I don't know if we kept any. I got to find a little
I
display
think we brought
area.
it back for a tech talk on one of our shows. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like these, but you got to be careful.
right.
Yeah.
But the failures are normally another failure caused it when we talk about these being weak. It's like, yeah, it's a pry bar. You're not supposed. The driveline was never meant to be a pry bar.
Right.
So, and that was never meant to be pried on. It was meant to hold a cap. You know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But-
So.
The Gladiator.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So we've got a two-piece shaft that we use. That way, instead of this is the middle, so you're up here high and you dive down here. So a shorter distance, keeping it out of the rocks. On a one-piece, you're coming clear across
Yeah.
here.
So it's hanging. You got about
you're
6
down
inches
here.
hanging down.
Probably 8 inches
Yeah,
lower.
yeah.
Okay, and that's how that one got torn up. Now, our bracket, you bolt into the frame. Well, and actually this is facing the rear axle, so you're behind the car. This side goes to you. This bolts to the frame. This holds your new carrier bearing on, and it is offset to line the driveline up straight because the original ones are in at an angle. And they can do that because of the Rizeppa joint. You can't do that with the U-joint. So we've offset it to get it all correct so you don't have a vibration. Also, you'll notice this is flat and there's an angle to
Yeah,
this.
it's
It's
overbent.
not just square, right?
Yes.
It's overbent. That angle properly aligns your bearing so that the bearing is sitting 90 degrees from the angle of the driveline. When it's not, and you tighten it, it torques it, and the bearing starts to move out of the rubber, and they go
It's
to
toast.
shit in 100
Yeah,
miles.
Yeah.
So we've got this bracket that makes all the geometry correct.
Yeah, and you said if they got one from you prior, but they don't have
Yes.
this bracket, they should call in.
Yes, if they don't have the offset bracket, because the first ones designed, you know, they appeared to be straight, and we found out there was an issue.
Yeah.
So if anybody got one of our early ones where it's equal, it's not offset, or if you look at the end and it's square, one leg isn't canted up, you call us, we'll send you a replacement.
Yep. Okay.
See,
We didn't talk about that funny looking thing over there.
this is a 930 Porsche axle joint. We're doing a lot of experimenting, and some of the guys, actually, Jordan, we're doing one for his car to run as driveline joints.
So that's a really heavy duty CV.
Yeah, and actually I told Jordan the other day that I've got a better joint, I think, that these boots are not quite as good and they leak grease. I have one that was designed as a driveline joint in a driveline that is about 20% bigger than that.
Oh.
And they're relatively inexpensive compared to those.
Huh, okay.
So,
Cool.
not that I've given up on that, but I think I might have found a better solution.
Yeah.
And they go 30 degrees,
Wow.
so it's equivalent to this.
Nice.
So I talked to him and told him, look, I'd rather try that out first.
Yeah.
I think it'll make all of us happier, and you won't be slinging grease all over your
All
car.
over, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay,
And,
cool.
and if not, like I say, I haven't given up, but I think there's a solution that will make that obsolete.
Cool.
So worth trying first.
All right, so let's go see if
See if we
Scott's
can
ready
build a
for us.
driveline?
Yeah. So that fits into a little piece that sets it at the right height.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just adjustable, so if the tube's bigger, he just moves it up. But it holds it very steady. I always free-handed mine.
Yeah, I thought the other gentleman was freehanding it.
Some of them do.
Do.
And, so older guys learned that way, and I'd rather throw it over my shoulder and just lock in and hold it.
So this is being turned by a little motor, right? Real slow.
Yeah, well, actually...
Oh, he's actually doing it by hand.
He prefers... See, he learned on that machine. He prefers to do it by hand. The other guys will hook the motor up, and they know the settings for the tube, so it only turns so fast. And so it's kind of whatever everybody's habit is. And, you know...
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, that are watching this is MIG welding.
Yes.
Right? So they burn that thing in pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, we make sure we get 100% penetration.
And then he's going to cool it, right?
Yeah. You know, we've had some, you know, and the thing I think you asked earlier, that what makes us different. See, a lot of shops only do automotive. My guys have all done industrial. We've done a driveline years ago.
Variety.
Well, the driveline at the paper mill before they leveled it, okay, I could crawl through the tube. The U-joints were 660 pounds.
Oh my God.
Okay, I mean, that's how big, actually right here, the old lathe that was here, we had to cut this out so
just to clear
so the
it.
motor would fit in, and it went out 2 foot past the door.
Wow.
Okay, and and I did that one, and then when they got rid of the paper mill, I said, well, I might as well get rid of this big lathe. I'll never use it again. Yeah, so no, we've done some.
And I saw some stuff out in the yard, you know, like this big.
Yeah, and that's just
like that.
Yeah, that's typical diesel truck. Peterbilt Freightliner.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's that's an older, smaller one. They've gotten, like everything, they want more miles, more durability, and they've gotten bigger. But yeah, that stuff out there is all diesel stuff, pretty much.
So now he's checking the balance. You want to get that from a different angle?
Yeah, and this is, I guess we can discuss, you know, the tolerances.
The tolerance, yeah. So Jim, why don't you describe this?
Okay, I'll get over
the tolerance, the whole, we're cutting it in half thing.
So what Scott's doing right now is he's heating it up on the high side to actually make it worse. Then he's going to cool it off faster than he heated it, and it'll warp it back below where it was to straighten it. And you are welcome to explain all this too. You're welcome to explain all this. You're the one that's good at it. Huh?
Can they hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. And then what we do, and Scott will show you here, you're allowed 10,000th run out here. We're always trying to make our goal, make it 5, cut it in half. You're allowed 5 on the machined part. We try to take that to 2.5. That way you get a better balance, more accurate, and it's a truer, better job to start with, instead of letting the balancer try to fix a bad job.
So he'll heat that now. By the way, human hair is 4 thousandths. So they're trying to get about that same amount of run out, and then on the other end, half that. All right, check it again. Quite the art to this.
And the high spot now is exactly 90 degrees from where it was. And sometimes as you do them, they move. You just got to mess with it and make it go where it belongs.
Yep. And Jim, when you build a drive shaft, this looks like another JK drive shaft, right?
What's that?
This looks like another JK drive shaft?
Yes.
And are you always using a thicker wall tube, and you know, you're beefing it up?
The fronts are all 120 wall 2-inch. The backs are an 083. And then if you want the canyon crawler, we put 120 in the back and 180 in the front.
Nice.
Yeah, and all that stuff comes from the background of Ultra 4 that we've developed there.
And that stock one that we saw twisted up, what thickness is that? That looks like it's thinner.
That, it's probably 083.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, but we don't, also the longer you go, the bigger the diameter. So that tube is much bigger and into the rock sooner. Where with the JK, you know, you're higher and you're in a smaller tube, so you're not as big a target.
Right.
And that's where we get a little extra forgiveness.
Yeah.
And then of course, like I said, the canyon crawler version, you know, is what you guys run. And you've seen what you can do, just grind them on the rocks and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Most normal trail guys are serviced well with the standard. But you know, if they need tougher, we're here to do it.
Right.
We do it. Yeah.
So he just keeps going back and forth on this machine till it gets to be right.
Yeah, sometimes when you change one end, it affects the other. And
yeah.
Very close.
now, see, in this one, he's just chasing it all the way around. And that could be a piece of tube that's not so good. Sometimes after you chase it in circles, you just go, okay, get rid of the tube, start over. Once in a while, you get that. It's just...
Very close.
That's crazy how fast that torch heats that up.
Right there, I gotta get a couple thousand out of it.
You just wait for it to glow and then pull it. So this machine has been modified to spin the drive shaft even faster.
Right.
Up to 7,000 RPM.
Yeah, we'll do the trophy trucks on this one. And
so it's crazy how fast these things are. A regular drive shaft will spin like 32.
That's 32, 35, yeah. You got it? All right, see, then you unlock the cradle. That holds it rigid. And then when you balance it, this lets it shake and show you where your problem is.
Where it is.
Yeah.
And then Alex, why don't you slide over so you can see that light display. And look at the drive shaft, how fast it's spinning, right? This is pretty cool.
Actually really good shape right now.
And that's how fast yours is spinning when you're going down the highway right there.
Yeah, right there, he's only moving about 1,000th on the vibration.
So is that good, no weights, or?
I'll speed it up a little bit more and see.
And see if it gets worse.
I'm gonna need a little bit of weight here, but it's a little bit of.
And what you saw there, that big jump, is because he was pushing down there. See, right
so
now
take a little emery on the.
Yeah, he's sanding it, but when it just sits there free on its own, you can see it's dead on.
About 2,200 RPM right there.
That's humming. You can feel it.
A little tiny bit.
Yeah, aside from that, Scott he likes to feel them and know when he changed it too. And
because it's not picking up anything?
Yeah, see, it tells you where, like, it works like a clock.
So there it is.
That's where it's going to need the weight at 12, like on 12. So when I stop it, stop the machine, and then, so that's where it's going to need the weight, is on that 12. It doesn't tell me exactly how much.
see, the 12's down below.
Yeah, see right
You watch the strobe, but when you line
yes.
it by hand, the strobe's, yeah.
Gotcha.
But that correlates to where it's strobed, yeah.
And then these are the little weights you put on the different
Yeah.
thicknesses and
And
sizes.
depending on how much it's moving out here.
Oh, so you gotta tape it on and try
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And then he knows what gram weight to add depending on, hey, I had 2,000 flutter or.
Cool. So check out how he taped it on. That looks cool.
That's not really perfect. This side's actually really good too, but I moved that way a little bit, I think. Yeah, let's see for the little bit from the head of that 5, so it's showing me 7.4, 7, 6, so it's going to be around 6.
You try and lead it a little bit. Is that what it is? Yeah. So does that mean you just have to move that one or add more?
No, it's pretty close. I think usually if it needs more, it'll just be the same number. So that means maybe.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's telling me to move.
There's a little weight too much right where it's at, so you move it over a 1/4 inch or 3/8, and then that's its sweet spot when it's up and running. And
It's just slightly. You can just when you tack it on, that'll be enough weight.
Oh, because that adds
Yeah.
material. Yes.
yeah, it's amazing if you're really dialed in.
Yeah.
The little tack welds
Wow.
can make a difference.
They're really good.
And you can feel it?
Yep. Usually like right here, you can kind of feel slight. It's so slight.
Oh, yeah.
You can
'Cause
see
that's
not
actually-
moving.
Yeah.
Hitting. Yeah, seeing like this one down here.
And you
you're not even
want to
getting one.
a balanced drive shaft because this is, on your transfer case, right? So
Right.
it's just wearing that back bearing.
That bearing, right.
Yeah. Now, what about when this starts to go at an angle? It still spins fine?
Yeah.
And the numbers gone?
Well, I'd have to check. It'll probably just kind of dance around and not give me an accurate. See, it's kind of all over the place.
Ah,
So if it's good, it won't really.
Yeah, so it's so close that there's 3 or 4 little spots all around. It's so even, that, it's so minute that just occasionally, now you get 6 spots. It's like,
now you'll tack those on.
I'll check these low. Watch your eyes. Sorry. Just that before I start.
All right.
You can even hear it how quiet it is.
Yeah.
It's very quiet.
Yeah, it is.
you're not moving at all again.
Dials and voltage, zero.
Nice.
So good.
Awesome.
That's
Great workmanship.
and that's my key man, and that's why.
And you
He
just
can dial them in
do
so
this
quick,
all day
so
long,
much
huh?
experience, and yep. Like I said, between Scott, Ray, Don, and me, there's over 140 years combined experience.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so most of these guys have been with me a good amount of time. Ray's the newest, and it's only been a couple years, but he did this for 40 years before he came here,
Right,
so
right.
and had his own place. So
Nice. So now you just unbolt it, it goes in the pile. Ready to go.
Shipped out.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. I'll be back on Thursday with another special guest. So tune in then and we'll have more Tech Talk.